Today we'll be learning how to use these addressable LEDs and how it helps your project. So these LEDs can be found online. You just need to type WS2812B. Well, these are addressable and I'll explain you what that is in a bit. So I found these on ropo.in. You can also use your local vendor and maybe find it online. They have their own inbuilt capacitors and not inbuilt, maybe onboard. Yeah, they have their own onboard capacitors and resistors, so you don't need to add any additional component to them. You can just start programming them right out of the box, connecting it to your favorite microcontroller. And I got 10 of these, I think a bunch for 219 rupees. Now it's time to tell you guys why we use those. You see the example that I'm showing here, to control 5 of these LEDs I must use 5 data pins from the Arduino Uno. So the 5 GPIO pins are gone just for the LEDs. So now with the package that I received, I got each of them in individual packagings like these, and they were shipped very safe. So I'm gonna tear it. I'm gonna show you guys how it looks. So as you can see, it's a very tiny SMD, and there you go, the onboard resistor and capacitor there. Let's see the back side. If you see the back side, it has 6 pins and there's no need to worry about it. It's like there's a plus, there's a minus, and there's a data pin. So there's something which says D in and D out, and there's also a direction mark there pointing which way to start connecting the next LED. You must always follow that pattern. So the D in, the first pin, goes to whichever microcontroller you're using. The D out from the first LED goes to the D in on the second LED, and so on. So let's start soldering without any delay. I'm using my multi-stranded wires here, which I also bought from the same website. And I'm gonna select these colors, red, blue and green. I have my personal reasons for these. You can go on with any color you want, maybe the black for negative, red for positive, and maybe blue or green for the data. Here's my wire clipper. We call this the Godzilla tool. So I'm gonna clip all of these. If you observe it, see, this tool is very handy because I don't need to stress about nipping wires and accidentally cutting the whole thing off. So now I can clip just the rubber part off and start soldering it straight ahead. It also has a cutting section. You must be very careful of it. If not, you might end up slipping your fingers there and getting it chopped like this. So yeah, my finger doesn't fit. Who knows? If your kid's watching this, please do ask your parents to help you with that. I'm sure you don't want to lose fingers. What am I doing there? Yeah. So you can also use a scissor, and all you need to do is take regular scissors, maybe a smaller one, and just hold it at an angle. Like, make sure it's at 45 degrees angle, just bending it slightly. See, if you now cut it, only the rubber part comes off. The metal part just slides through the gap between the two blades. So even if you have a slight gap between the scissors, it works. So if you don't have a wire clipper, you can use scissors like how I showed. I'm gonna remove these unwanted connections and let's start soldering them. So to save some time on the video, I have already pre-soldered one side of the LEDs, and like I said, D in from the first LED goes to the controller, utilizing only one data pin instead of 3 data pins. And the D out from the first LED, which is the data out of the first LED, is going to go to the second, and from the second the data out goes to the third, and so on. Well, you can use as many as you want. I'm not exactly sure how many, I haven't measured that, but I've been able to use 12 without an issue, just directly from the Arduino board. So yeah, now I'm carefully soldering it and making sure I don't burn the SMD components by overheating stuff. I'm gonna quickly finish the solder. As you can watch, I've been soldering it slow, but not too slow, because if you do it too slow, the soldering LED won't stick properly there and it might crack in the future. And for the flux, I've already cleaned the surface, added flux and kept everything ready before I started soldering, just to save time on the video. And here you go, I'm soldering the second one to the first. Well, it's the middle of the night and I didn't have any time to set things up, kind of like clamp all the components with the claw that we use for soldering. And I was working on a project, so I just had some spare time and I'm doing this video, so I'm just taping it on the board and soldering it. You guys have to do it very careful, making sure none of the contacts are touching each other since they are very close. So here you go, the third and the final LED to be soldered. Okay, done. Now we're ready to connect this to the Arduino, and here you go, all three in a straight line. Making sure I didn't mix up the colors or I didn't get the wires wrong. Same length. I kind of over soldered the first connection and you can see it burned out a little bit, but I still feel like it will work. It should actually. That's not the board burning, that was actually too much flux in the first joint there. Now let's move on to connecting it. So if you observe, the Arduino has around 14 digital pins and 6 analog pins. If you're making a project where you need to utilize most of the GPIO pins, this LED is definitely going to help you, because I'm going to just utilize one of those. And here you go, my products I was working on. Like, I was just bored and I was doing some designs. I made a bunch of plant potters because I started planting recently and started making a lot of these. Okay, let's move back to the project. On my screen you might see the code, might not be clearly visible, so I'm gonna drop the code in the description where you can just copy paste it. You don't need to open any links or anything. I'll just drop it in the description. The code is very simple and I've coded it for 3 LEDs. The code is only 67 lines long and very easy to understand. You don't need to be able to write the whole code. You just need to understand what variables to change within the code and kind of utilize it for your project. So right now, as it is, you can actually make your own traffic light with this, because I used 3 combination of LEDs, and this code pretty much helps with the traffic light. You just modify the variables inside, just copy paste a few loops, and you can add multiple junctions to it. So as you can observe, there are variables here. I've set the timer for like around 5 seconds for green, 2 seconds for yellow, and 5 seconds again for red. And as we scroll further, you can see there are a couple of loops. Like there's one for red, there's one for yellow, and there's also one for green. And you just have these number values here, the 255, 150, 0, all those. They're just combinations of colors. The first one is red, the second number is green, the third number is blue. So if you observe in the first loop for the red on, I have kept 255 for the first one because I need only the red. The first number is red. I've kept the second and third zeros. Same with the second loop. If you observe for the yellow, I have made it 259 and 150. I'm sorry, 255 and 150 and 0. You can't exceed 255. 255 is the maximum number. So the combination of 255 and 150 gives yellow. That is red and green, slight green. And now the same with green, just the middle one on. And yeah, nothing much to change further. And you can use this, change it, modify it here and there, and just remember to change only those variables for the colors, and you can just kind of come up with your own color combination. I mean, these are addressable, so you can play a lot with these, trust me. If you figure out how to use these, you'll have a lot of fun. So always remember which one to change, which one not to change. Here I've also mentioned which has to stay true. True is nothing but on, and false is off. That's it for the first, second and third LEDs. Yeah, so the false is off the first time, green is on, and in the middle yellow and green. That's if you want a video on explaining the whole code, you can just let me know in the comments. I'll be happy to explain, possibly if I get time. So back to the connections, I'm gonna use a breadboard and start plugging all the parts in. So I'm removing the unwanted connections there. Too many wires, and I'm gonna use one portion of the breadboard. I'm gonna sharpen the wires. You see, these are multi-strand wires. They don't go in properly to the breadboard. I'm just gonna extend these a bit, just chop off a little bit of plastic. So I'm gonna twist them well so they become single strand. Well, I don't have a single strand wire to solder. That's why I'm using multi-strand wires, and multi-strands are one of my favorite combination of wires when I'm doing small projects, because I don't know, I've been finding it easy to solder and stuff. They don't break that easily compared to the single stranded ones, because some of my projects I just test them a lot and move it around here and there. Some wear and tear damages it. So I'm going to plug it to the breadboard. I think it's better to kind of extend it with the jumper and plug it. But right now I'll just use the breadboard. As you can see, I plugged it to the top row of 3 different sections in the breadboard. I'm going to use my male to male jumper wires. Take 3 combinations out, start plugging it. One, 2 and 3. Yeah. Ta-da! I've plugged them right below those wires. If you don't know how a breadboard works, let me just see if I have something to show you guys. Maybe I'll make a video someday on how breadboards work internally, and show you guys how it works inside. But otherwise, let's continue. I'm using 5V on the Arduino for the positive side of the LED, GND on the Arduino for the GND, and I'm gonna use digital pin 6 according to my code. And voila, the connections are done. So now I've done the connections, I've uploaded it. I just removed the breadboard and taped it directly because it kept falling off. But as you can see, I utilized only 1 digital pin and started using 3 different LEDs, and yeah, finally done. And it's morning already. I can't believe I work from midnight to morning, and I didn't even realize the time going. But otherwise, this is a very fun project. You guys can try it out. Very cool LEDs. It's gonna help you a lot in your projects. Make it look fancy. Also give a lot of GPIO options. Anyways, thanks for watching.